All right, so ready to dive in.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Today we're tackling a career path that many people might find, well, a little mysterious.
Mysterious. Yeah, I could see that.
We're talking about actuarial consultants.
Ah, the financial masterminds.
They have a certain mystique, don't they?
It's true. People hear actuarial and they think, what is that, like some secret society of number crunchers?
Right, like they hold the keys to some kind of financial matrix or something.
Exactly. But we're here to demystify all of that.
Exactly. So let's break it down, shall we? When we say actuarial consultant, what are we actually talking about? What do these folks do all day?
Okay, so imagine being able to predict the financial future, or at least getting pretty darn close.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Actuarial consultants. They're the ones who analyze risk in all kinds of fields. We're talking insurance, pensions, investments. They're crunching the numbers, making sure that companies and individuals, everyone's prepared for whatever curveballs life throws their way.
So not your average 9 to 5 then. Sounds like high stakes, probably a good amount of pressure too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This isn't for the faint of heart. The sources you shared mentioned something about needing a really unique blend of skills for this kind of work.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just about being a math whiz, although you definitely need to be comfortable with numbers.
It's true, you've got to love data, but it's bigger than that, right?
Wow.
Think about it this way. An actuarial consultant takes raw data, and it's like they're looking into a crystal ball, but the crystal ball is full of numbers.
Okay, I like that visual.
And they take those numbers and translate them into actionable advice for their clients.
So you need those strong analytical skills, for sure, but then you also have to be able to communicate those complex ideas to clients who maybe they're not as fluent in, the language of statistics.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not just about having the answers. It's about explaining them in a way that makes sense, that people can actually use.
Okay, so you need to be a people person who can also wrangle spreadsheets like a pro. That's a pretty cool combo.
It is. And it's a big part of what makes this career path so interesting, right? You could be building a complex financial model one day, and then the next day, you're in a room full of executives presenting your findings. Dynamic, intellectually stimulating, dare I say, downright fascinating at times.
Now, speaking of fascinating, one thing that really jumped out from the research was the increasing role of artificial intelligence in this field. It's not just, your grandma's actuarial science anymore.
You're telling me AI and machine learning are changing the game. We're talking about analyzing massive data sets, identifying patterns, maybe even spotting things that we would miss with the naked eye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, making those predictions even more accurate.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning.
So can you give me an example of how this kind of tech is actually being used in the real world?
Okay, sure. Think about catastrophe modeling in the insurance industry.
Okay, yeah.
Traditionally, this involved a lot of historical data, statistical analysis, but now we can use AI to factor in real-time weather patterns, climate change projections, even social media trends.
Whoa, okay, so we're talking about getting a much more granular and accurate picture of risk.
You got it. It's next-level stuff.
That's wild. So it sounds like someone going into this field needs to be pretty comfortable with technology and also with, constantly evolving their skill set.
Absolutely. Being adaptable, embracing those new tools, that is key for any aspiring actuary. You've got to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. Right. So continuous learning is critical.
100%.
And we're talking certifications, industry conferences, basically just being a sponge for any new information. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk about those certifications for a second. The research mentioned a few different ones, SOA, CAS. Can you decode those acronyms for us? Like, why are they so important in this field?
Sure. So SOA, that's the Society of Actuaries. And then you've got the CES, the Casualty Actuarial Society. And they offer these like super rigorous exams that really test your knowledge of all things actuarial. And passing these exams, that shows potential employers that you know your stuff, that you've got that solid foundation.
Like leveling up in a video game. But instead of gaining superpowers, you're gaining serious credibility and earning potential.
Exactly. Every certification you earn, it's like unlocking a new level in your career, opening doors to new opportunities, higher levels of responsibility. It's a challenging path, sure, but the rewards can be significant.
Okay, so we've established that actuarial consultants, they're using cutting-edge tech, they're solving complex problems, but what about the day-to-day reality of the job? The research, it kind of hinted at a potentially demanding work-life balance.
Yeah, that's something that, any aspiring actuary should be prepared for, especially in those early years while you're studying for those exams and just building up your experience.
Yeah.
The work can be demanding. We're talking tight deadlines, a lot of pressure to deliver those accurate and insightful analyses.
Right, because
Yeah,
ultimately
it's by
it's
standard.
about making those really important decisions.
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle, for sure. So those early years, they can be pretty intense.
They can be a grind. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Especially, when you're balancing a full-time job with studying for those grueling actuarial exams, it takes serious dedication.
But it sounds like those who persevere, they're rewarded in the long run, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a rite of passage. You put in the hard
Yes.
work, you prove yourself, and eventually things start to shift.
Shift how?
Well, as you progress, the work becomes less about, just crunching numbers and more about using those numbers to make strategic decisions.
So it's less about calculating the risk and more about advising clients on how to actually manage it.
Exactly. You're helping them to anticipate those potential pitfalls, develop strategies, and ultimately, make sound financial decisions.
And that's where the real excitement kicks in.
It does get pretty interesting, yes.
Now, speaking of interesting, one thing that really struck me in the research was the emphasis on ethics in this field.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about the numbers, it's about making responsible choices, choices that have real-world consequences for people.
It's a huge responsibility. I mean, think about it. You're dealing with sensitive financial information, making recommendations that impact people's lives, setting insurance premiums, designing retirement plans. Integrity is paramount in this field.
Right, because you're essentially acting as a financial advisor.
In a way,
But not just for one person, for an entire company, maybe even for thousands of individuals.
exactly. So you need to be objective, transparent. You're always operating with those highest ethical standards. There's no room for error.
No pressure, right.
Right.
But seriously, it seems like this career path, it attracts a very specific kind of person. Someone who's not only good with numbers, but also has that really strong moral compass.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's not just about the bottom line. It's about the bigger picture. The impact of your work on people's lives.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, the long hours, the ethical considerations, but let's circle back to the exciting stuff for a moment. We touched on it earlier, the whole AI and machine learning revolution, and it seems like actuarial science is no exception.
Oh, absolutely not. It's transforming everything. This field is dynamic. It's constantly evolving. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're not just talking about spreadsheets and formulas anymore. We're talking about leveraging the power of AI to really dig deep into these massive data sets.
So we're talking about spotting patterns, trends.
Exactly. Things that we might miss with the naked eye, we can gain a deeper understanding of risk than we ever could have imagined before.
It's like having a crystal ball, but one that's powered by algorithms and big data.
Exactly.
That's a powerful tool.
It is. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. As AI and machine learning continue to evolve, we can expect even more innovative applications in the actuarial world. It's an exciting time to be in this field.
So what you're saying is this isn't your grandpa's actuarial science. This is a field that's constantly pushing boundaries, embracing new technologies, new possibilities.
100%. And that's what's so exciting, both for seasoned actuaries and for those who are just starting out. There's so much potential for growth, for innovation. It's a career filled with continuous learning, new challenges.
And shaping the future of risk management as we know it.
Exactly.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities, really. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's bring things back down to earth for a minute.
Back to reality.
Exactly. So let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this does sound kind of amazing. Sign me up. Where do they even start? What are the concrete steps to actually break into this field?
Well, like with many things, it all starts with a solid foundation. In this case, we're talking about math and statistics. So a bachelor's degree in something like actuarial science, mathematics, statistics, even economics can be a great starting point.
So you're telling me all those hours I spent agonizing over calculus weren't for nothing?
They might come in handy after all.
I knew it. But it's not just about, acing those calculus exams, right? We talked earlier about those certifications, and it sounds like they're pretty crucial in this field.
They are essential. Remember the SOA and CAS. Passing those rigorous exams is key to demonstrating your expertise and showing potential employers that you've got the knowledge and skills to succeed in this field.
So it's a good idea to start prepping for those early, maybe even try to get a head start while still in college?
Exactly. It's never too early to start preparing for those exams. And speaking of getting a head start, Internships can also be incredibly valuable in this field.
Right, get some real-world experience under your belt.
Exactly. It's a chance to apply what you've learned in the classroom to real-life scenarios, make connections, network with professionals. It's a win-win.
So internships, check. Networking, double check. Now, the research we went through mentioned some pretty interesting and maybe a little intimidating interview questions that tend to pop up in this field.
Oh, yeah, the interview process can be a bit nerve-wracking.
Any examples come to mind that might make someone sweat a little in those interview clothes?
Let's see. One that often comes up is, can you explain a complex actuarial concept to someone who has no background in the field?
Oh, that's a good one. So it's not enough to just know the technical stuff. You need to be able to communicate it effectively and make it relatable.
Exactly. They want to see if you can break those complex ideas down into digestible chunks, make them accessible to a non-technical audience. That's a crucial skill for an actuary.
So maybe practice explaining those concepts to a friend or family member who's not exactly a math whiz.
Exactly. Find a willing test subject. Another common question is, why do you want to be an actuary?
Which, on the surface seems pretty straightforward.
It does. But it's your opportunity to really showcase your passion for the field. Why this career? Why now? What excites you about it? Let
Yeah.
that enthusiasm shine through.
So to sum it all up, if you're someone who thrives on challenge, who gets excited about diving deep into data, and you're looking for a career that's both intellectually stimulating and financially rewarding, well, becoming an actuarial consultant, it might just be the perfect fit.
It's a demanding path, there's no doubt about that. But it's also incredibly rewarding. You're constantly learning, you're facing new and interesting challenges, you have the potential to make a real impact. What's not to love?
And with AI and machine learning transforming the field, who knows what the future holds? It's an exciting time to be an actuary, that's for sure.
Absolutely, the possibilities are endless.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of actuarial consultants. We hope you found this exploration insightful, maybe even a little inspiring. And who knows, maybe we've even inspired a few future actuaries out there today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.